Good evening, and I welcome you to your transformative program, Politics and Beyond. My name is Emmanuel Jr., your host for this transformative program. I haven't been with you in a while now due to some few issues. I needed to attend to some equally important events, and so I'm glad to be back this evening. Today is quite an interesting day. It is interesting because exactly a week ago, and I'm making reference to last week, Monday, marked 2 years when your transformative program, Politics and Beyond, started. So last week was really our anniversary, 2 years anniversary. And interestingly, today, being a week after last week, happens to be my birthday. And so today is a birthday edition or an anniversary edition comprising of the platform and also that of the myself being the host. There are a number of people I would love to appreciate, but if I should continue or I should start mentioning names, I'm sure will not be ending. Notwithstanding, I want to appreciate you, the viewer, for making sure that this platform continues to be one of the leading platforms as far as transformative activities are concerned. As I keep saying, we focus on building the future of this country, if not for our own sake or for our benefit, at least for the sake of our next generation. And I also want to appreciate my wonderful team that I have here. I mean, I'm just the face of it, but I have strong backing. And I'm making reference to all the great men that we have here. William, we have Osofo Prince, we have Theophilus, we have Humphrey, we have all the others, and of course, led by our mighty Raphael. These are the great members that we have. Benny, of course, he is our executive producer. These are the great members that makes this platform, possible. And so I want to appreciate each and every one of you. Having said that, it is important for us to state that over the past years, we've been discussing matters of corruption and how best we can fight corruption in this country. Unfortunately, it looks like the fight against corruption seems not to be going the way we all expect it to be. Every day we keep talking about corruption matters. Every day we keep talking about issues bordering on corruption. And it looks like all we do is to talk about it, we leave it, we allow the thing to happen, we expose it, we return to the debate platform talking about it, whether it belongs, it is the NDC's fault or it is the MPP's fault. And we forget to really focus on what really matters. And that has to do with us ensuring that we fight it or us ensuring that we prevent it the way we ought to prevent it. And so this evening, as I indicated, it is a birthday edition. And so you are going to be my guests. I'm going to have the opportunity for you to phone in and then share your views. And if you have questions, comments, to share with us as far as this topic is concerned. It is very obvious that just about 2 weeks or so, we had the Attorney General having a press conference. I think it was somewhere last week, having a press conference and trying to bring out some of the things that borders on corruption. The first that comes into mind has to do with the former CEO of Buffer Stock. And if you look at the components of things, properties, that are allegedly owned by this man as a result of an alleged corrupt practices, it is really overwhelming and worrying. But it brings to bear one question. Should we wait for a change in government before we are able to expose all these things? Why is it that we are not able to put in the right structures so that even in government, we will be able to have the structures exposing these things? Do we have to wait till there's a new administration before we're able to know the corruption or perceived or purported or alleged corruption that took place in the erstwhile administration? These are the things that we'll be discussing this evening. Today's conversation is going to be centered on what we call the state of corruption in Ghana. And when we talk of the state of corruption in Ghana, we are here talking about a number of things that has happened over the past. We'll take a commercial break, but before then, I want us to just go through something briefly, and that has to do with the state of corruption in Ghana. My producer, if you are kind enough, let us have the slide. So that is what we are going to discuss this evening, the state of corruption in Ghana. Are you aware that Ghana loses approximately $9.02 billion annually? Be mindful, I'm talking about billion, not million. And I'm also making reference to dollars, not cedis. So $9.02 billion annually. And this is as a result of tax-related inefficiencies, illegal trade practices, and natural resource mismanagement. The first that comes into mind has to do with Galamsey. It is an example. But in all of it, we lose an amount of $9.02 billion annually to corruption. That is Ghana. The other thing we also need to appreciate is that according to the 2024, even before we come to the question, can we dwell a bit more on the first slide? Can we do a bit more on the first slide? According to the 2024 State of Corruption in Ghana reports, the country's anti-corruption efforts are not yielding significant results. And it is as a result of three key things. The first one, weak internal controls. The second one, poor enforcement. And the third one is growing public fear of retaliation. Clearly, corruption is a significant governance and development challenge in Ghana. And this undermines the state's ability to deliver essential services, and also it ends up perpetuating inequalities. So these are the effects of it. It undermines trust in democratic governance, and as I indicated, it perpetuates inequalities. This is just a background to what we are going to discuss this evening. And as I indicated, you are the guest this evening because it is a special edition where I want to bring you in. And that is why I want us to pose a question that all of us will have to answer, because that is the answer we are seeking for as far as this episode is concerned. The question is very simple. What specific measures do you think the government should take to address these challenges? We have the challenge. And so how do we? Because the past years, we've been talking about it. We are quick to identify corrupt practices. We are quick to name and shame, but we are not resolving the issue as we need to resolve it. And so the question we are asking is, what specific measures do you, and I'm making reference to you, the viewer, do you think the government should take to address these challenges? We are going to take a commercial break, a very quick break. But even before we take the break, or in the process of taking the break, send in your answers and your comments to this question that has been posed on the social media platforms that we have, including the WhatsApp line, which is exhibited on your screen. Stay tuned. I'll be right back.
Welcome to AutoCheck Vehicle Diagnostic and Licensing Center.
I hear my car can be checked here without going to Accra.
Sure.
Emission, check.
Alignment, check.
Brakes, check.
Visit AutoChecks at Koforidua Aquadum Road for the roadworthiness of your vehicle, from saloon cars to heavy-duty industrial vehicles. Madam, your car is now ready for the road.
Thank you so much. Auto checks, check.
AutoChecks, your safety, our priority.
Check, auto checks.
The average human body mass should have at least 60% water for optimal performance in any physical or mental exercise. We can help you maintain it naturally. X Natural Mineral Water. Simply natural. For bulk purchase, call 0596 273 546 or 0596 273 547. This advert is FDA approved.
Welcome back. I'm still your host, Emmanuel Wilson Jr. And as I gave the brief before we went on a commercial break, we are discussing the state of corruption in Ghana. Before we even go further, I will want to use this moment to express, not just me, but myself and the team that makes up Politics and Beyond, express our deepest of condolence to the Rawlinses family. In this case, I'm making reference to Zaneto and the 3 siblings that she has, and the entire family, for the loss of their mother, their auntie, their sister, their everything. And of course, not just the family, but to all of us, whether we like it or not, we've also lost someone who was a former First Lady. In fact, the longest serving First Lady of Ghana. And I'm wondering if there will be any time where anyone will want to break or will be able to break that record. So I'm making reference again to the late Nana Kunedu Ajiman Rawlins. May her soul rest in perfect peace. Having said that, we are still discussing matters bordering on corruption. How best do you think we can take care of this canker known as corruption? Rawlins, no, not Rawlins, but the former president, Kufuor, once said that corruption is as old as Adam. It is true. Very, very old. I'm sure if you go into details, there hasn't been any government in history, whether in Ghana or outside Ghana, that has ruled and had what we would term as corruption-free country. As long as you have 2, 3 more individuals, humans coming together, there will be some corruption and corrupt practices taking place. So corruption indeed is as old as Adam. And that is why I want us to look at the first slide that says that, the first slide, if we can have it on the screen, I'm making reference to the introductory parts. It's my producer around. So we're looking at the current state. No, so we've gone through the current state of it. I want us to look at the next 2 slides. Beyond the question. Sure, so this is what I'm looking at. As I indicated, corruption has been one of the most widespread and insidious of social evils. It has taken place. It undermines the trust and confidence which are necessary for maintenance and development of sustainable economic and social relations. There's one aspect of corruption that a lot of people ignore, and that has to do with petty corruption. When we talk of petty corruption, just like the Bible says that little forces destroys the farm, there are little things that we ignore. When we talk of corruptions, most of the times we are looking at the very huge ones, the amount of millions and billions. But sometimes when corruption takes place through what we know as petty corruption, it is also one thing that really destroys. And so petty corruption, it impacts citizens' perceptions of corruption in a country because it interferes with their daily lives and undermines public trust in democratic processes, government legitimacy, and state institutions. And so whilst we look at corruption, we shouldn't just be focusing on the huge ones that we sometimes or often hear. Petty corruptions are also part of it. And if I should give you the opportunity, I'm sure you can mention thousands of such corruption that can be defined as petty corruption. So I wouldn't want to go into that. But you see, there has been, in the time past, especially almost all anti-corruption institutions and CSOs that I have encountered or have heard of. And yes, it has even included Crusaders Against Corruption. In the time past, we have always been using one certain approach in fighting corruption. In fighting corruption, there are 2 approaches. We have what we call the reactive approach, and we also have the proactive approach. The reactive approach says that you wait for it to happen and then we try to expose it. We wait for the thing to happen and then we say that, okay, this person is at fault, that person is at fault. We take the person to court, we try to retrieve the money. Worst scenario, we imprison the person, and that is it. That is the reactive approach. It is so clear that this approach that we've been using as a country over the past years has not really yielded much. And so it is time for us to concentrate a bit more on the second approach. And that is really the approach that right from now, this platform, Crusaders Against Corruption, we are going to take. We want to take the proactive approach. The proactive approach here focuses on preventing corruption. It also focuses on promoting integrity in central governments, law enforcement agencies, and public institutions. So instead of us waiting for it to occur, we want to build mechanisms and structures to ensure that we even prevent it. We ensure that we build integrity more than focusing on corruption, as in waiting for it to happen. There's a need for a proactive framework for foreseeing and managing corruption risks, and that is also what the proactive approach takes care of. It has, among other things, two key relevance. This approach I'm talking about. The first one is that it mitigates corruption. Deterrence is of great essence here. The second one is that there's the need, because it ends up establishing systems that reward appropriate behavior and also penalizes corrupt conducts in the public sector. So the proactive approach, unlike the reactive approach where we are waiting for someone to commit it and then we penalize the person, the proactive approach puts in place systems that reward appropriate behavior. We must encourage individuals, just as the way we are quick to expose individuals and shame them for engaging in corrupt practices. We must also have in place mechanisms and systems that rewards good behavior. That is the only way we can encourage. There has been instances where we've heard people saying that good life, good behavior doesn't pay. Proactive approach in fighting corruption changes this trajectory and says that we are encouraging you to engage in good behavior because we have systems that will pay off and systems that will reward you for that. So that is the approach we are going to use. Now, after taking the proactive approach, being the approach that we need, all of us as a country, it will just be sad that we'll continue using the reactive approach and we'll be expecting a different result. It is not going to happen. You can't continue doing the same thing and expect to get a different result. It will not happen. And so we need to find a way of preventing it, mitigating it, exalting and encouraging integrity in the various sectors. That is the best way to fight corruption. In Ghana, there are some key areas where corruption affects significantly. And one has to do with the public procurements. Almost all corruption that you hear of or you record in this country, public procurements find space in it. So corruption in public procurement processes leads to inefficient allocation of resources and significant loss of revenue. This morning, I heard that from next year, we are going to have new number plates for vehicles. That is procurement. The first thing that came into my mind was, I pray that the procurement process will be so transparent and it will not result in us engaging in corruption and corrupt practices. That was the first thing that came into my mind. So that is it. The public procurement is a key area. The second one is the health care. The health sector is particularly vulnerable to corruption. And we all know it, with medical practitioners requesting bribes for services and selling watered down medicines and all that you can think of. Sometimes you go to the hospital, just bed, you need to pay bribe before you can get it. And not just that, there are so many instances. So the health sector or the healthcare in this country is also an area that breeds corruption, and we need to have a strong focus on that side. The other part has to do with the educational sector. Ghost names on payroll, bribery, and other form of corruption plagues the or plagues the education sector. Unfortunately, and this is so sad, because it is still ongoing. And I'm making reference to this school placement that is, taking place now. Our junior brothers, our junior sisters, our children who are now going to the secondary school. We are hearing stories of how some parents, guardians need to pay certain amount of money before they can get their award in certain school, or before they can get their award getting into a certain course. It is so worrying. So the education sector here is also one aspect that we need to look at. The second, or the other part, the fourth part, has to do with the police service. Of course, we all talk about the police service every now and then. So it is not, something new. We all know that that is a key area that is affected by corruption. And when we talk of petty corruption, the police service is one sector in this country where petty corruption takes place so much. You jump the red lights and you are stopped, and you are just, sometimes the policeman will request some money from you, give the person 5 cedis, 10 cedis. These are all petty, but the truth of the matter is that it creates a perception that we are not fighting corruption the way we need to fight it. And that's why I made reference to petty corruption as one key thing that needs to be looked at. The final part, in terms of key areas, has to do with the land administration. It is so sad that if you look at the land administration we have in this country, and of course, all of us may have one way or the other encountered issues bordering on land, where landowners will end up selling land to multiple clients, and it creates a lot of problems. You go to the Lands Commission to go and register land, go and have any transaction there, and the frustration you go through, it is so terrible. Indeed, Lands Commission is one key place that if we really want to fight corruption, we need to reform. If we want to fight corruption, we need to put in the right structures in ensuring that we prevent corruption from taking place, because it is more like a marketplace when it comes to corruption. Land Commission is a terrible place to be. The leadership there must take a cue from this and find a way of renewing it. There's another aspect, and that is a special place in subsequent episodes we'll be looking at. It has to do with local government. The MMDCs offices, municipal office, district offices. A lot of corrupt practices takes place there. And it is time for us to also look at that place. So these are the areas, key areas affected by corruption in this country. And I believe all of us may have had one encounter or the other in this aspect. But I want us to also appreciate some challenges for which we are where we are now. When I talk about we being where we are, making reference to the state of corruption in Ghana, why we are where we are. The first one has to do with lack of transparency. There's always limited transparency in government dealings and public procurement processes, and this contributes to corruption. The other one has to do with inadequate resources. Anti-corruption institutions, they often lack sufficient resources and protection from political interference. And this I have said so many times, so many times. We all know about this. The other one has to do with our cultural norms. Look, it is a key challenge. Sometimes our proverbs, our local proverbs, ends up encouraging even corruption. So our cultural norms, corruption is often deeply ingrained in our cultural norms, and it makes it difficult to eradicate. The other form of challenge that we have has to do with weak institutions. Anti-corruption bodies such as the Office of the Special Prosecutor, IOCO, SHRAJ, and all of that you can think of, they lack effective coordination and resources. And recently, hearing from my own friend and brother, Justice Sremsai, talking about, they requesting for a docket from the OSP's office and OSP coming out to say that it is not true and all that. It all communicates clearly that we are having weak institutions. They lack effective coordination and resources. How can you all, being anti-corruption institutions, fighting for the same cause, and yet fail to communicate, fail to coordinate? We end up not working in unison. And so that is also one challenge, weak institution. The other challenge, which is of interest to me, has to do with public fear. And so the public fear here, look, the number of Ghanaians who consider reporting corruption dangerous has doubled since 2017, with 68% of respondents unwilling to report corruption due to fear of victimization or lack of faith in outcomes. And this is of interest to me because just about 2 weeks ago, I had 3 different persons reaching out to me. Anonymously, I didn't even know them. They reached out to me, sent me messages, telling me about some challenges they were having. 2 of them said they have been promised some employment at some institution, public institution, and that the one who has promised them that the person works in those institutions, and the person is requesting for some money before they can do that. I went further asking them to give me details and even give me the names of those people, and they vanished. The 3rd person, similar thing. She went further to even tell me that, well, I would have loved to do that, but if I do that and you end up exposing, I may not get the help. But I just wanted to bring it to your attention. And so fear, public fear, is one key challenge that affects the fight against corruption, especially in Ghana here. And then the last one has to do with poor enforcement. Poor enforcement. And the poor enforcement here, talking about internal auditors, procurement officers, finance controllers, administrators, all the key heads or departmental heads in the various institutions that takes place, or the various institutions that we have in this country. Their inability to be resourced or their inability to work effectively in preventing corruption also affects. Isn't it so ironical that all these corrupt practices and corruption cases that we are talking about and we are hearing in the public space, they are always talking about the CEOs, the MDs, the CEOs, and the MDs. Isn't it so funny that no one is talking about the administrator, the finance controller, the internal auditor? It is not for fun that when you go to any institutions, we have what we call departments. They all serve as checks and balances. And so if I'm a CEO of institution A or agency A, and it comes out that I've been able to embezzle X amount of money, the first question that should come into our mind is, where was the finance controller? Where was the administrator? Because even though I'm the CEO, I can give authorization for payment, but payments must pass through approval and other processes must pass through the various departments. I don't think CEO would just sit down and then press a button and there's money transferred from a company's account into his or her private account somewhere. So what happens to all these internal structures that has been put in place? Is it possible that these internal structures have been compromised? Or is it possible that these internal structures are so weak, polarized, that one person can decide to do anything and everything, and it ends up, affecting the taxpayer of this country so much? And so poor enforcement is one key aspect of it. I want us to look at the last slide, and that has to do with the way forward. But even before we get to the way forward, as I indicated earlier, this is going to be a conversation that invites you. I will encourage my producer to activate the phone lines if we can, so that we can hear from you, the viewer, the way forward, what you think is the best approach for us to fight corruption in this country. And when that is done, when we are done with that, I'll go to the way forward from our parts as to how best we can fight corruption. But remember, we are using the proactive approach. There are a number of messages coming in. Remember, we are using the proactive approach, and that is very important. So all the proposals you are going to make, all the solutions you are giving, bear in mind that we don't want a reactionist approach in fighting corruption. Remember the question we asked earlier. What specific measures do you think the government should take to address these challenges? And it is key, and it is very, very important. And so let me hear from you. These are the phone lines as activated. I have a first caller on the line. Your name and where you are calling from.
Hello?
Your name and where you are calling from. When you call, reduce the volume on your TV set.
I'm not my phone from the news.
We are getting a feedback from you. Can you reduce the volume on your TV set? Your name and where you are calling from.
I'm Lukman calling from Tishima.
Lukman, please go ahead.
Please, my contribution is that.
So wish. Lukman.
Yeah, I think it's high time our institutions.
Yes.
Hello?
Yes. Lukman, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's high time our institutions, especially the education side,
yes,
we start, and the tutors to start teaching from their early stages in school,
yes,
from KG to lower primary.
Mm-hmm.
This administration is still disciplined, and from there, they should let the children understand that corruption is uniform. It's bad.
Right.
So you realize that in the schools, students start doing some one or two things which definitely seems not to be correct.
Right.
But they've been motivated, or they've been one way or the other allowed to do that. There's the DC we always write. It becomes a norm that before a child can pass a DC, the child must pay.
Right.
So now if the child starts paying from that level, by the time he grows up, he thinks cheating or corruption is normal. So I think our teachers has to do a lot by making us believe, by making them believe that everything about corruption is bad.
Very well. Thank you so much, Lukman. I agree with you perfectly. We need, while we look for institutional change or structures being put in place, it is important for us to also know that the institutions are going to be taken care of by human beings. And so we need strong institutions, but we also need strong men who understand that corruption is something negative and it affects the state. Caller, welcome to Politics and Beyond. Your name and where you are calling from. Are you online? Your name and where you are calling from.
Abdullah Shaibu calling from Cape Coast.
Abdullah, please go ahead.
Yes, sir. I think, in fact, I didn't watch the whole show. I just watched the last part of it. But
yeah,
I think to fight corruption, government have to set a committee that can assess or audit the various institutions, because a lot are going on in the institutions, and it starts from there.
Yeah.
So that is my suggestion.
Thank you so much.
If Mahama wants to really achieve his ambition, he needs to set an audit team or institution for audit.
Very well.
Purposely for that.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much, Abdul. I mean, you are just speaking the mind of Crusaders Against Corruption. Even prior to the elections 2024, we've held one position, that the new government should set up what we call... Do I have a caller on the line? All right, so let me listen to the caller and I'll come back to it. Good evening and welcome to Politics and Beyond.
Yes.
Your name, can you please reduce the volume on your TV set? Please.
Good evening, sir. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Your name and where you are calling from? We are still hearing your voice. We are hearing the feedback. Okay, so when you are ready, you can call in again. So as we were talking, I was saying, buttressing what Abdul said, Abdul from Cape Coast, we have always proposed. Caller, welcome to Politics and Beyond. Hello, caller. Welcome to Politics and Beyond. Your name? Okay, so we lost him too. So we have what we call the Corruption Audit Authority. We've always advocated for this. The fact that the Auditor General audits doesn't necessarily mean that he's identifying corruption and corruption-related matters. Hello, caller. Welcome to Politics and Beyond. Good evening.
Please, this is Chairman Igwe from Azoka Boys.
Okay, Chairman, go ahead. Where are you calling from, Chairman?
I'm calling from Tamale.
Tamale, Chairman, please go ahead.
Yes, sir. You see, in this our government,
yes,
if only our president wants the corruption to stop, unless we create a group that can be monitoring the appointees, so that when they hear that there's some office that there's a problem, quickly they will rush and go and monitor the person. So that when the appointees know that there's a group monitoring them, I think they will stop the corruption.
Right.
Yes. So we are planning to get that group to help the government.
Very well, Chairman. So yes. I think that is the best thing. Thank you so much. Yes. So I was talking about the Corruption Audit Authority, and that is so dear to my heart because that is what we need. The fact that you are auditing a company or an entity doesn't necessarily mean that you are looking out for the corruption and corruption-related matters that has happened in it. So you can audit, all right, but the audit will not be able to identify conflict of interest because that is not what they are looking for. And so it is important for us to have what we call an entity, Corruption Audit Authority. And that is the only way we can fight corruption. That's one of the things. Welcome to Politics and Beyond. Caller. Hello, caller. Your name and where you are calling from? Okay, it looks like your name and where you are calling from?
Hello, please. This is Dr. from the Upper West region.
Very well. Please go ahead.
I'm so grateful for raising this topic.
Thank you. Can you reduce the volume on your TV set, please?
I think there's this thing that there's no politics. Can you hear me now?
Yes, very well.
Hello?
Yes. Go ahead.
So I was saying that
yes,
there's been saying that there's no politics without romance. But we know we can't completely eradicate corruption from the system, but we can reduce it. And the only way to do that is to separate distinctly between the public service and the civil service, because once politicians have that power to infiltrate the civil service, it means politicians can, bribe the civilians, do things for them, and in one way or another, the civilians can also influence the politicians. But if there's no distinction and there's no clear-cut policy that separates these two entities, there will always be this menace in Ghana.
Very well.
And it will never reduce. It will continue to increase once there's no clear-cut distinction, because politicians always use civilians to do their role.
That's very true. Thank you so much. So thank you so much. That's also one key thing, separating public service from civil service. And it is not just the separation that is of importance. What is of importance is the political influence, the political role. And that is why we have also said consistently that one of the things we need to do, because that is the bane, that is the backbone of corruption in Ghana, has to do with our 92 Constitution. where we centralize power and we've given power to one entity known as the executive. I'll come back to that. Kola, welcome to Politics and Beyond. Hello, Kola, can you hear me?
Hello.
Your name and where you are calling from?
Yes, this is Akodogo Smiler Feza from Upper East Region, Boku.
Very well. How is Boku doing?
Oh, Boku is calm as of now.
We thank God. We thank
There's
God.
been disturbances yesterday and the day before yesterday. Have been doing well, but as I speak, it's a little bit calm. But we pray that government should intervene and bring absolute peace to Boku.
We pray so.
Because we are actually suffering and it is now becoming chaotic.
I agree. Everything will be fine. That's what we pray for. Please go ahead with your submission.
Right. Yes. So with regards to corruption in our government institutions, I think it is now a very big canker that has eaten into the fiber of every aspect of our offices. And it is very important to note that the first way to tackle this corruption is the change of our mindset, to know that corruption is bad, corruption is something that we should not engage ourselves into. And apart from that, there should be code of conduct that will guide every individual that is holding any position in every organization, and then the enforcement or the punishment of those who go against or who are found in involving themselves in corruption is something that we need to look at it.
Very well.
People do and go scot-free.
Yeah.
And again, who watches the watchman? These auditors, some of them do connive with the people they audit. And at the end of the day, they present their audit report that both in a way that doesn't augur well. So they should be external auditors who audit the internal auditors. Every aspect of our institutions, mostly when you go there, they are paid for the job they are doing, but they try to stifle state resources. They try to cheat the ordinary Ghanaians. Resources that are made to provide social amenities. Yeah. You see an individual going to an office, you are paid for the job you are done, then you make it as if you are supposed to be bribed before you do your duty. So I think there is supposed to be a second look at it. And I thank you for bringing this into the public domain, and let's put all our voices out. And at the end of the day, I think it will be a thing of the past. And anyone who is caught culpable should be taken through the full rigors of the law.
Thank you so much. I agree perfectly with you. Now, making reference to the code of conduct, there's one aspect of it that, again, we have advocated for strongly, and we are looking forward to its coming to fruition. And that has to do with lifestyle audits.
Oh.
Kola, welcome to Politics and Beyond.
Please, my name is Adams. I'm calling from Kalia from.
Your name is?
The north. My name is Adams.
Adams, calling from?
From Northern Region, Tamale.
Tamale, very well. Adams, go ahead.
You see, for now, honestly speaking, we those who are already grown right now, it will be very difficult to control corruption. What I think is, if we want to stop corruption, we have to target like school. We have to target schools and churches and Islamic places. Simple because if you observe something, we don't hear any and in fact making young people get access to internet in things they assume they might also have, or sometimes this betting stuff. How can you take like 5 cities and assume that you can get somewhere like 100 cities?
Right.
You see, so things like this, this generation, if only we want to control corruptions, we have to target schools, make schools, or take a curriculum, add corruption lesson to teach the young ones to understand that taking something from, so it's just like, you see,
you understand, you agree with me if you and your friend meet at a place and someone gives your child, with your kids, and someone gives your child like something like money, and your child is standing there looking at your face for you to give order before you take the money. And the other one, once you give the money, then the child takes the money. You see the two differences between the two kids.
That's right.
There's discipline in this person's house.
Yeah.
You could just see plain. You could give someone's child and then he'll be like, no, I don't want. You want money? This is giving to child. No, just take it. And even without saying thank you. So I think we have to target schools right now.
Right.
Islamic places and then churches.
Right.
Let the young ones that are coming up to understand that this and this, even if your father is in corruption, you should be able to speak up. Taking something that is not yours should be a crime.
Right.
Corruption is just like dealing with faith. These days we just grown, this our faith, let's be honest. They'll say this and turn around, someone give you 5,000 to stop saying something that you like, okay, let me just.
That's right.
You see, so sometimes for me, we should tackle the young ones.
Very well. Adam, thank you so much. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I agree perfectly with you. Thank you so much. We need to tackle it from the roots, the young ones, the curriculum. That is what we need to concentrate on. So as I was saying before Adams came in, I was dwelling a bit more on the lifestyle audits, which came from the caller before Adams. Code of conduct, lifestyle audit. It is very, very important. And we've advocated for a long time that we need to have lifestyle audits in this country. Why is it that someone who is supposed to be receiving a salary of 11,000, 12,000, 13,000 is living a life which goes beyond 50,000, 60,000? And no one is questioning the source of the funds. No one is questioning the source of the money. Indeed, if we're having lifestyle audits in this country, we wouldn't have been having people coming on TV sets exhibiting bars of gold, showing off, telling us that this is real money. This is where they got them, without telling us who the source, where they got the money from. And so it is very, very, very important for us to concentrate a bit more also on lifestyle audits. Let's see how best we can audit the lifestyle, especially of public officers or officials. The other one, which I was also talking about, has to do with the separation of civil service from the public service. And this is very key. As I indicated, the caller's interest wasn't just in the separation, but the fact that it will reduce political influence. And one of the key things that causes political influence has to do with our 92 Constitution, as I indicated. We give so much powers to politicians who are just a handful of people, especially the executive, led by the president of any given day. The chapter that talks about executives gives so much powers to the president, to the extent that almost every institution, instead of owing allegiance to the citizens being you and I, owing allegiance to the taxpayer being you and I, they end up owing allegiance to the president because it's the president that appoints them. And I've always used this as an example. You remember the instance when we had Madam Tiwa being the head of the CID's department some years back, in charge of investigation in this country, being caught on tape, talking to a complainant, someone who has come to complain corruption and corruption-related matters. The one in charge of the investigation was telling the complainant that why won't the complainant let the case go or die off, as we keep saying, or we often say, simply because she believes that when the case is pursued, it will bring shame to the government, the then government. I mean, she rightly said so. This is because we are talking about her because it was caught on tape. What about the number of similar conversations that didn't come to the public domain because it wasn't caught on tape? The point I'm making here is that it is simply because all these individuals believe that they owe allegiance to the president because it's the president who appoints them. And that is why, if we are talking about minimizing political influence, it is important to ensure that we have a significant review of our constitution and reducing significantly the powers that has been given to the executive. You don't centralize power and expect that you can fight corruption effectively. Before I come to the text messages that has come in, I want us to go back to the slide and this time look at some of the other way forward or proposals that we had in mind. And I'm so happy that the callers that we had, I mean, they've all given fantastic ideas and fantastic proposals. Unfortunately, because of time, we will not be able to take further calls. But this is the other one, and that has to do with the way forward. So we are saying overall corruption, and that is something that all of us agree to or we know. Corruption is a complex issue in Ghana, and it requires a multifaceted approach to address it. Efforts to increase transparency, strengthen institutions, and promote accountability are crucial to reducing corruption and promoting development. And this is all taking place or way forward with the mindset that we are using a proactive approach. So the first one has to do with training of employees or appointed officers. You see, the appointed officers, they are the first line of defense against corruption. When you go to an institution, it is the officers, the workers, the employees who will either encourage or discourage corruption from taking place in our institutions. And so we need to train them, not just training them on how to ensure that they are working effectively, but we need to train them on basic ethics, on basic transparency matters. We need to train them on integrity. We need to train them on things that abhors corruption. And so it is important as a way forward to train our employees and, for that matter, our appointees. The second one that we need to look out for has to do with red flags. Corruption takes place in subtle ways. Payments for vague services like facilitation, paying higher than normal fees to a vendor as commission, off the books deals, this, and they go to some institutions that says that, well, here we require cash only payments or unusual payment arrangement. These are all red flags, and these are things that we need to identify by letting people know that when you go to institutions and these things are happening, it is a red flag telling you that corruption is about to take place. So we need to prevent it. The other one has to do with validating compliance regularly. We need to validate compliances regularly. We need to implement a process to ensure that there's compliance with legislation. And I have said so many times as a chief crusader against corruption here in Ghana that when it comes to legislations, anti-corruption laws in Ghana, to a very large extent, we have them. We have them so well. The only thing that affects us has to do with compliance. And so it is important to validate compliance regulations regularly. You know, we need to do that regularly. The other one is to conduct due diligence. Conducting thorough due diligence with background checks and full risk assessments on all third parties that we engage in, that the institutions engage in. It is very important we do that. Then comes the other one, where it talks about encouraging whistleblowing. Unfortunately, in this country, very often, whistleblowers end up being treated as they rather have caused an offense. And so it becomes very worrying and people fear. Remember, I indicated earlier on in my submission that one thing that affects in terms of challenge has to do with public fear. A lot of whistleblowers are scared to blow the whistle. And so, you know, instead of us encouraging them, the reactive approach rather victimizes them. And so proactive approach as we are adopting in fighting corruption and minimizing corruption in this country has to do with encouraging whistleblowing. Corruption is still most likely to be detected by a tip. And truly, almost all corruption fights, crime. Remember, corruption is a crime as defined by our criminal code, 1960 of Ghana. It's a crime. So the truth of the matter is that if you want to fight crime, you need someone to tip you most often. And those are the people we refer to as whistleblowers. The other thing we also need to do in terms of way forward has to do with being transparent. Transparency here means that we need to be proactive to ask for feedback. We need to prepare to address these feedbacks when they come, whether good or bad. We need to create open lines of communication and honest dialogue regarding what is and what isn't unethical behavior. So we need transparent systems in the various institutions and organizations. And this is one way by which we can fight corruption. The other one has to do with establishing hiring procedures. When hiring staff, we need to conduct thorough background investigations. We need to check their educational, we need to check their credit, we need to check their employment history as permitted by the law, as well as their references. And so these are some of the ways we can, in addition to all that my wonderful callers have contributed to this evening. These are the practical ways by which we can fight corruption, and we need to do that. We must stop the reactive approach. It is time for us to move to the proactive approach, because that is the only way we can fight corruption and get, significant results. Let me quickly go through some of the messages that has come in here also. This one says that curbing corruption at Ghana's Lands Commission demands transparent digital systems, firm accountability, and genuine political will. Unlike Rwanda and Kenya, where digitalization has partially kept land fraud, Ghana's slow, opaque process often pressures even citizens abroad to pay unofficial fees just to avoid long, frustrating delays. It is a problem in all our ministries. And that is very true. Very, very true. As I indicated, look, one way to fight corruption, if there's any area that we need to urgently look at, it has to do with our lands administration, and for that matter, the Lands Commission. If you have an experience there, you appreciate exactly what we are talking about. That place is, I don't even know the right word to use. But this one also, let me look at the other messages. This one says that, good evening, Mr. Wilson. For me, I will suggest frequent auditing of all public establishments and follow-ups of results coming out from such auditing. It shouldn't end there. Rather, publications of offenders in our national newspapers. And this is coming from Samson Afote Achi from Nungua Krowo Municipality. This one says, corruption-related cases. If President Mahama doesn't jail anyone, we won't be happy in this country. That's the main reason why we voted massively for John Mahama and NDC. My greetings this evening goes to the incoming president after. Okay, that is fine. I wouldn't want to go further. But this is coming from Ablade Efia Kuma Zongo in Takrade. What we can use as a country to stop corruption is to probe oral on former appointees for Ghanaians to witness these values. This can stop corruption in Ghana. You didn't add your name. My brother, there's no check and balance in the system. An ordinary person who enters into politics becomes a wealthy person within few weeks, but nobody questions how he acquires his wealth. I am ASP retired, David Danso from Akem Oda. All right, this one says, good evening to the incoming president after John Mahama, Honorable Johnson Asiedu Nketia. And this is also coming from, coming from Abladi Efia Kuma Zongo, Takradi. All right. Let me see if I can tip in one or two more messages quickly before we wrap up. This one says, let me just, Susan. Okay, so this one says, Dear Chief Crusader, okay, so this is a birthday wish. Dear Chief Crusader, I thank God for your life of service to Mother Ghana, your sense of rightness for the good and development of Ghana, May your voice and heart cries be heard in heaven. May angels heed your prayers for truth and justice as we continue to push for honesty, integrity, accountability, and progress in the right directions for our nation. This year, may you see favor and elevation, promotion and peace. We declare that those who have forgotten you like they did to Joseph in their elevation, remember you for good. May God bring you to the mind of those that need you. May every detractor and wrongdoer be silenced and arrested. May your needs be met by God's riches in glory. May the words we sing in our national anthem be the vision for the nation and sealed in the heart of every citizen of Ghana. Happy birthday, Chief Crusader Emmanuel Wilson. Thank you so much. So I read this to represent the thousands of messages that has come in as far as my birthday wish is concerned. And this is coming from the chairperson of Crusaders Against Corruption, Bishop Dr. Susan Inti. Thank you so much, all of you, since morning, the messages that has come in wishing me a great day. I want to appreciate each and every one of you. Now, one or two more messages. My thoughts on solving public sector corruption, strengthen institutions and enforcement, enhance transparency and accountability, improve public financial management, reward integrity, and protect whistleblowers, ensure political and leadership commitments, promote civic education and public participation, reform the judiciary and legal systems, improve public sector salaries and work conduct, empower community monitoring and citizen oversight, leverage technology and innovation. And this is coming from Martin Lucas in Wa. Good evening, Mr. Wilson. You are doing my type of politics. I'm watching you from Oti region in Kwanta South. Thank you so much. You didn't add your name. This one says, good evening. Thank you very much. In fact, you are doing well for the corruption issues. I just want to tell you that there's corruption in some insurance companies. How can I get to you to share my experience with you? And this is Felix Beze from Medina. Felix, so this same WhatsApp line is the official WhatsApp line. Just get in touch. I mean, after the show, you can call and then you'll be directed as to what to do. Anyone who has any corruption issues that want to bring it to my attention, whether you are a whistleblower, you want to give a tip, whatever it is, just rely on the WhatsApp line that has been exhibited or is exhibited on the screen, and then get in touch with us and we'll take it from there. Tomorrow is also my mom's birthday, my biological mom's birthday. She's 28, I'm 27. And I keep saying that I believe she was really waiting and hoping that I would have arrived on her day. But unfortunately, I needed to come out early so that I can take care of Ghana. And so I came a day before. And so I want to wish my wonderful mom, Mama Rose Youngson, a happy birthday in advance, which is taking place tomorrow. We love you so much, and we believe we'll be celebrating it together again tomorrow. All too soon, viewers, this is where time will allow us. I am so delighted that we've come your way this time. And remember the approach that we've taken, which has to do with the proactive approach. Next week, we are going to have another conversation on corruption, still having in mind the proactive approach. Stay tuned, because next week is going to be a bit deeper than today, and it's going to be more interesting than today. Prepare your proposals and prepare your way forward as collectively we try to fight, minimize, prevent corruption in this country, and most importantly, exalt and establish integrity in this country. Till I come your way again next week, I'm still your host, Emmanuel Wilson Jr., and all I can say for now is good night.